Here it is, the fun video plus extra sound effects from my husband for location scouting for sound. You are going to be able to hear the actual locations, and you'll get to hear me talk about what are the problems with the areas of each area that you're going to be at. And now you're going to be hearing what does each environment sound when you do location scouting for sound. You're not going to be listening from a wireless mic. You're going to be hearing it from the microphone that is on the iPhone. And that is what the indiscriminate sound that is coming from the boom mic that is going to collecting all of the sound in the environment that is not like this. So this will tell you exactly what does it sound like in each environment. 2 years ago on the same TV shoot, I was shooting over here with the sound mixer and the boom operator. And one of the things that we actually ran into was not only was it as hot as it is today, in March, dear Lord, it's March. When we were shooting here, we were getting a lot of traffic type of sounds. And why would we be getting a whole bunch of traffic sound? It is the 5 freeway. This is one of the major intersections of the 5 that goes across over to the Grapevine. That is not low traffic. So shooting in a major location like this, where you have an intersection that's going around like this, it is really hard to be able to go ahead and get sound because you're competing against all of this traffic. Hence the reason why you need to know where your location is and what is going to be the sound for this area. Large times of where this sound is just really bad is the morning during the weekdays when people are taking their kids over to school. We have the lunchtime traffic, which is kind of right now where it's coming to an end. You also have the nighttime traffic that's happening as well. If you have road construction that's happening, dear Lord, it is just a mess. And you also have to also realize that when gas prices are really high, like right now it is 60 cents a happened within a week because they decided to have a war. The semi-trucks will go ahead and pick a different time to be able to travel to get their stuff over to the areas that they need to go to when there is less traffic that's happening. So after the lunch period time, you get more semi-trucks. Last year in October, we went ahead and we filmed nearby this mega church. And it was interesting because I said, well, you know, it's Thursday, it should be okay because, well, usually when it comes to churches, Wednesday, Sunday, and sometimes Friday, they have their own type of services that they have. And we were shooting on a Thursday, and I said, I think it should be okay. But, you know, again, I'm not the sound mixer, but I actually got to see what happened with the sound mixer. He went ahead and went like this, head into his hands. Why? I did not know this about this mega church. They had rehearsal during the day, and then they had service on a Thursday. Now, we didn't shoot at the church. We shot in the residential area, and that distance was enough to be able to go ahead and grab our signals that we needed for the lavs to be able to record the scenes that we had for that day. And we had to be out by 7 because this church had service on that day. So my largest thing that I would suggest if you are filming is look at where you're located at. Are you nearby a church? Are you nearby a synagogue? Are you nearby a temple? Are you nearby a mosque? Because they are also using wireless mics, and you need to know everything about it. When is their rehearsal? When is their services? Those things actually impact your sound. You need to understand if there is a religious center nearby to the residential area you're going to be shooting at, because your signal might not be there at all. On a shoot with Nicole Kidman over in Los Angeles, they decided to do one of the scenes underneath the freeway underpass. It was 110 freeway that was right nearby Dodger Stadium, and they wanted to film underneath there for that particular scene. And I kid you not, they went ahead and asked me, the sound utility, who had just happened to be booming with the boom operator, and asked, can we get the sound out of the freeway traffic? And I said, no. And as you can tell by this sound that is right here in Castaic on this junction, Lake Hughes Road and Castaic Road, you're hearing a whole bunch of different sounds. What are these sounds? Well, you have a semi-truck gassing station over there. This is the last place that you're able to go ahead and fill up before you go over the grapevine. Now is when the semi-trucks are going, because it is before school, and also this is the best time because there's less people kind of on the road. Kinda, but it soon will start picking up around 3 or 4, which means that the semi-trucks are not going to be driving as much, because then it causes a huge traffic jam all the way over to there. What is the problem filming next to a lake? Well, during the summertime and a 3-day weekend, or anything that is really, really hot, especially nearby a weekend, is boats. And if you're over nearby Pyramid Lake, which is one of our water that we get for in Los Angeles area, you'll have freeway. I've actually filmed out here twice, one for a short and one for a different TV show that I don't think even really took off very far. But anyways, seems like it's a really nice kind of country road. You have this wonderful little bit of a road right here. The only problem was the 5 freeway. Again, nothing but traffic. When you're shooting this way, perfectly fine. Sounds a little bit quiet because you could put the microphone in a certain way so it would reject the traffic. But as soon as they flipped it over, traffic. What's the problem with filming over at a strip mall? You have traffic. It also depends on what days that you actually go in. Shooting in a strip mall, the best times to shoot is actually on a Monday and a Wednesday. Tuesday is senior discount days. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday are just really, really busy. Like today is Thursday. If you do it in a major city, you're going to have sounds of ambulances, police, and fire engines. You know when is another time not good to shoot at a strip mall? Holiday season. Why? Christmas horns. Shooting in a park. What are the sound issues that you can have? Well, if you can listen into the background right now, there's street traffic that's happening over there. Why? Because this particular park that we had shot out last year for a particular scene, there's a major street that happens right over here on the side. Besides that, there is a traffic light at the end of the street that is on the other side. And if you also listen, there are kids playing in the background, because this is a public park. When it comes to a private park, you have a little bit more control over it, but not completely. And what do you hear? A plane. So we're also in a path of where planes are going through as well. So when it comes to a park, my highest suggestion is pick a Monday or a Tuesday, because as soon as you hit Wednesday, Thursday, or like today is Friday, you actually will hear more kids that are playing in the park and more invasive sounds, because everybody's trying to get home. It is 4:52 right now, so now you're starting to deal with people who might be going home after picking up their kids. So that's what's going on. So that's the reason why when shooting at a park, unless it is a private park, then you're able to be a little bit more discerning on the sound. But if you're on the low budget shoots, you won't be able to close down the park whatsoever. Vasquez rocks. I swear that everybody wants to film out here, and I kid you not. They have to lock down the whole entire area to be able to do it, because this is in almost every single sci-fi show that you could possibly imagine. There's even a place that is called Star Trek Park that way. So what happens when you're coming out here? Well, as you're just now experiencing, it's wind, because any place that has a desert, the wind usually kicks up about 11 or 3. And you thinking I'm joking about that? No, because right now we're filming at 1:40. The wind is going to pick up, hence the reason why you want to use this app to be able to tell you when the wind's going to happen, and also be able to know what the weather is, because also out here being a desert like today, it's a heat advisory because it's going to go up to 90. Angeles, which is where we're not, you get to hear this a lot. And in fact, the freight trains usually happen around 12 p.m. and then around 11:30 p.m. So I just wanted to go ahead and let you know that it is hard to be able to predict when a train is going to be coming, unless there is an app, which so far I haven't been able to find, like a freight train app, or Amtrak does have an app as well as Metrolink. But with that type of sound that you had just heard at the beginning, it is hard to predict, and it is better to just go ahead, cut the take, wait for the train to pass, and then go. But when it comes to freight trains, especially in downtown Los Angeles at nighttime or at 12 o'clock in the afternoon, especially over in Fresno, that's when it can last for 40 minutes to an hour for the train. I would say just go ahead and take an early lunch or early dinner. Alka Dulce is basically right over there, and if I kid you not that there's so many people who like filming out here, because as you can tell, not many cars. And now you're also getting a twofer that when you're shooting under these wires right here, if you notice, there's a little bit of buzzing sound to it. It's because the electricity that's going through, and you'll notice that it'll be a little bit kind of quieter during the nighttime than it is during the daytime. Now, Alka Dulce, there is an airport that's right over there that is owned privately, and I have shot there twice, as well as nearby at a winery that's over nearby there, and that one was a period piece. Ridiculous. Every single time that a plane came by, they said, "Can that be taken out?" And I'm like, no, it's not even period, because it was a 1920s film. So that was interesting. Everybody likes filming out here because it's about from Santa Clarita, like 20 minutes to come out here. And the best times to film is not on the weekend like it is right now. It is like Monday, Tuesdays, maybe Wednesdays, but not nearby a 3-day weekend or when it's warm, because everybody likes to be able to see the sky at this time. And if you notice, the wind's picking up as well. Cal State Long Beach. This is actually a really good campus to actually film at on a weekend if there's nothing else happening. Now, I should note though, but if you have filmed here, which I actually have, and it was on a weekend, you'll be running into this. That plane right there is a Delta flight that is actually going all the way over to Long Beach Airport. And here's the actual picture of it. We also, campus is also nearby LAX, which is off that way, and Orange County Airport, which is over there, the John Wayne Airport. Now, I usually have my usual rule, which is 6 days before a major holiday and 6 days after a major holiday, you'll actually run into more airplane traffic. Of course, it also depends on if there's a pandemic and, oh yeah, those jet fuel prices that are now up, because this is March the 15th of 2026. When you have that and you actually understand what is going on, that actually changes what flights will be flying when and where. Long Beach is not exactly a major airport. It can take in loads if something happens to John Wayne or LAX. So those are the things that you always have to keep in mind when it comes to filming nearby an airport. With this one over here with Long Beach, you actually have private planes, which you know, Cessnas, you know, the usual. Oh, here comes another one. That's Southwest. Now you know what was the time between the two? 2 minutes. So once you understand the pattern, then you actually understand. And also find out when is the airport open, and also when is they closed, and if you're nearby a major holiday. That is my tidbits when filming nearby an airport. Marina Del Rey. I filmed out here twice, and it's not in the inner harbor, where it's usually a lot quieter than it is when you're right at the beach. Instead, at Marina Del Rey, they love, on these independent films, shooting directly over that way, and it's under the line of LAX airplanes coming out and coming in. In the morning, they come in at 7:30, and then it flips and goes the opposite way. What you're gonna run into is lots of people, lots and lots of planes, because it's not just LAX that you're dealing with, it's also the Santa Monica Airport, which so far to my knowledge hasn't been closed down. It is still going on. Then you have the traffic that is coming from Long Beach, as well as coming from John Wayne Airport. And again, when it hits tourist times, there's a whole lot of tourists, as you can hear. So my suggestion is film over at Carpinteria instead, or just before you hit Goleta, that's a good spot to film. Problems with filming nearby an airport. This. Airplanes emit 180 decibels, and that is what you're hearing. And when they fly across over where you're filming, it really is not easy to take out. You'll have to redo the shot. The worst time to be able to film nearby an airport or in direction of an airport is 6 days before a major holiday and 6 days after a major holiday. Also, if the gas prices are really good, people usually would like to be able to fly more often. However, that's not right now. If anything, you do not want to film nearby an airport, especially nearby major holidays. But you can follow by this app right here to let you know what are the planes coming in and what planes are coming out and what are their heights. If you have a traffic signal in a residential area, that's going to change your sound. If you have a major street, that's going to change your sound. If it has a stop sign, it will change your sound. And if you have one of these gorgeous mountains during the summertime or just dry season, you'll catch on fire. As well as a mountain that's right over there has potential of catching on fire, especially during the summertime. That will obviously change your sound. When it comes to the residential area, the best thing to do is to also look up what are the schools in the areas, what types of schools are they, and that will also change your sound. Remember, with schools it's really simple. 7:30 until 8:30, kids are coming into school. Same with junior high and high school. Now, with elementary schools, this is something different. At 12 p.m., that's when kindergarten's let out. At 3 o'clock is when the rest of the school is let out. For junior high and high schools, they can have a zero period, which is 6 o'clock in the morning. And they also might have after-school programs, which is 4 o'clock. Those all changes your sound and what type of traffic will be in the areas for your residential areas. So whether it's quiet or if it's not, always look at to see if there's a school, if there's a fire station nearby, where is it located, are you nearby a major street, are you nearby a freeway. All of that will affect your sound. Bakeries and bagel shops. The best time to film is when they close, because when it hits around 3 a.m., they're already starting to make their dough so that they can start making the products that they need to be able to sell as soon as they open, which is around 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. If possible, buy out the whole entire day and what they would have sold that day, or else make a set for it. Malls. Basically, it's really hard to go ahead and film in a mall, unless it is a dead mall like Whittier Mall that is over in Whittier. The best time to go ahead and film in a mall that you will be able to kind of control is Mondays and Tuesdays, because that is when there's less people and you can actually control the sound. However, if you're in a dead mall like the Whittier one, that is a win-win situation for the production as well as for the mall, because they get some sort of revenue that is coming in. So the problems that you're dealing with when you're in a mall though is this: echo everywhere, because the ceilings are so high. When it comes to department stores, again, it's better to go to a dead department store so you have control over it. And again, win-win for the situation for the mall to be able to get revenue that's coming in, and you're able to control the sound. But when it is a live active mall like this mall, it's not. One thing I did forget to note is do not film at a live mall during the summer time. Doesn't matter if it's a Monday, Tuesday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Wednesday, Thursday. It does not matter. It will be full of teenagers because they're the ones that are not going to go over to the libraries. So that's the reason why I would suggest don't film during the summertime. You could pick a winter and a fall time, and if it's raining, it's even better, because usually people don't want to drive out in the rain. And there we go, ladies and gentlemen. Location scouting for sound. And now we're back to a microphone on me plugged into the iPhone so you actually get a better sound. Yes, you're still hearing work from my husband while I'm making this video, but now you get to understand what it is that we have to deal with and why it is so important to go on the locations, to listen to the sounds and understand what it is that you were hearing. This is one of the books that I recommend highly, and was one of the first books that I actually got when I got into location sound. The next video that we're going to have is how to write up a report for location scouting for sound. How do you build it to production so that they understand what it is that they're just about to go into? Or even if it's just for yourself so that you understand what it is, whether if you're a boom operator, sound mixer, or a sound utility, because those reports are so important so you understand what it is that you will going to run into and what are the issues and how do you problem solve for it. And also might be able to make a list as well. That's it, and I'll talk to you later.